Hey guys, this is Laura from Purl Soho, and I'm going to show you how to seam stockinette stitch horizontally from one edge to the other. As you can see here, I used a contrast yarn, but I'm sure you can imagine how invisible this would be with yarn to match. It creates a really beautiful seam. It's very clear and clean on the back side as well. So yeah, let's get started. As you can see here, I have two swatches of stockinette stitch, and I have their bind off edges parallel and next to one another. You could also orient your fabric with a bind off edge and a cast on edge, or two cast on edges. It really works in any of those combinations. The other thing I have is a tapestry needle threaded with yarn. I am using a contrast color, but of course you would use the same yarn that your fabric was knit up in. So the first thing I want to do here is take a look just above this edge and identify this first row of stitches, these little V's kind of just coming straight across here. Now do the same thing down here. Find these V's. Now you're going to be working into the V's kind of back and forth from one swatch to the other. We're going to begin with this lower swatch. I'm going to take the tip of my tapestry needle and I'm going to bring it up from the back of the fabric to the front of the fabric, right in the middle of this first V. Just like this. I'm going to pull my length of yarn out and I'm going to leave a tail here. The next thing I'm going to do is identify the first V or stitch just above this edge. I'm going to take my tapestry needle and I'm going to go under both legs of that V right here. All right, so now back down to the lower swatch. I want to put my needle directly into the swatch where I last came out of this swatch or last exited this swatch. So I'm going to take the tip of my tapestry needle and put it right here in the center of this first V from front to back. And then I'm going to come out of the swatch in the center of the V right next door, right next to it. And now we go back up to the top swatch. Once again, I'm going to insert my needle where I last exited this swatch, put it under the two legs of the V next to the V I just worked in up here, just right here. Pull my yarn through and back down to the lower swatch. Insert your needle where you last exited this swatch. Exit the swatch right in the center of that next door V. And now back up to the top. So you may notice that in the top swatch, we're going underneath these V's. And then in the lower swatch, we're working into the center and then out of the center of the V's. You kind of just continue in this rhythm across the entirety of your fabric, or as your pattern describes. And what you're doing in this technique is creating an entirely new row of what looks like knit stitches, but it's done by sewing. So you can see I'm creating these new V's here. I've left them a tiny bit loose for demonstration purposes, but ideally they'll be the exact same size as your knit stitches are.